It's Tuesday, July 2nd, Wednesday, July 3rd, if you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the sunny mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the Gavinator is getting ready to put some new features up very, very soon. Currently, you can read up on the SOR Newswire, listen to the show, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Mighty Moose Beard Oil Company. It's 100% Canadian, 100% natural, taking care of beards around the world. Visit MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019 today. The first Tuesday of the month, we try to find our Zen and our Chi with Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. Geraldine's personal experiences led her to leave her corporate life for a more spiritual path and helping others find their own conscious enlightenment. Geraldine has dealt with everything from ET contact to yoga to cleanse the body. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com and BayAreaMeditation.com. Geraldine is going to join us at the bottom of the hour, so you just got me for right now. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. So, I have noticed as our listenership has grown exponentially over the last little while here, because we've been pushing pretty darn hard to make things happen. And I get a lot of questions about, Dave, why did you get into this? Literally hundreds and hundreds of emails. Not really, but it sounds like fun to say. And I figured it would be one of those ways for everybody to kind of just check out how this all happened, how SOR came together. So we started Spaced Out Radio on November 30th, 2014. This came at the urging of a good buddy of mine. You've probably heard him on the show, Johnny Enoch. And a few months previous to that, 2 months, I emceed a UFO conference that he held in Vancouver. And it was a great experience. I had a fun time. I really had never been to a paranormal UFO type conference before. So I figured, you know what, I'll give the guy a hand. A good friend of mine, Samantha Mowat, was speaking at this event. So I figured, yeah, I'd give it a good try. After that conference, Johnny nagged me to start a radio show. Now, I knew nothing about podcasting. When I left terrestrial radio in 2007, and coincidentally, on the 4th of July at 10:47 p.m. Pacific, it will be 12 years since I signed off the air for the last time in Vancouver. And when I started this show, I figured, I didn't know anything about online radio. Nothing. The only show I'd ever heard like this was Coast to Coast. Because we used to play Art Bell back in our newsroom outside of the studio so we could hear the weird, wacky things that were going on. So that's how this show got started. But previous to this, what pushed me into this entire light, and I'm not going to be able to get to all my stories here because we only have until the bottom of the hour. But what pushed me into this entire feature, this entire provenance of the paranormal, this entire realm of the weird and strange, it happened on December 13th, 2011. And I'm one of those guys that if it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe it. Now, I had always believed in UFOs. I'd always believed in Bigfoot, even though I never really was a forest dweller. Never went out hiking or anything like that. But on December 13th, 2011, it was a good kick in the butt that got me going on this. Got me researching every single night. So for after this incident happened, I was literally up until about 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, every night, trying to figure out what the heck was going on. So let's go back to December 13th, 2011. Very easy for me to remember because my eldest daughter, we were having an early Christmas for her. And the reason why we were doing that is she was going away with my ex-wife's parents over the Christmas and New Year's break. They were taking a family cruise into the Bahamas. So that meant that we would either have to wait until after she got back, so we decided to celebrate beforehand with my side of the family. So my grandmother, my parents, my uncles and my sisters and my nieces and nephews all came over, had a few friends over. We had about 25 people in the house. And it was jam-packed. There was a Canucks game on. They were losing to the Columbus Blue Jackets. What else is new? And it was just a great night. We had a big turkey dinner. We ended up having a bunch of presents. Everybody who brought presents over for her, she got to open them, which was fantastic. And then at about 7:45 p.m., my parents announced that they were going home. Why? Well, I got to tell you, my parents have an addiction to Dancing with the Stars. I know, I've ribbed them enough for this. Ribbed them enough. So they decide they're going to leave because it's only 15 minutes to get to their house, and that would give them enough time to get into their recliners, get comfortable to watch Dancing with the Stars. And so I was, in the meantime, cleaning up my living room and my dining room from all the plates and glasses that were around because we were doing the dishes while everybody else was watching the hockey game. And the kids were downstairs playing. And my mom was in the kitchen. And I had this doorway that I had to cross through in order to go from my dining room to the kitchen. So as I started to cross the threshold, because I wanted to give my mom a hug and a kiss and thank her for coming, and then go give my dad a hug afterwards, as I crossed the threshold, I realized that the hockey game on the television, because my rec room was connected to my kitchen, was silent. There was no noise. There was about 20 people up there. No noise coming around. And I opened up my arms to give my mom a hug. And my mother's eyes are jet black with white pupils. Yeah, jet black with white pupils. Now, my mother has these beautiful blue eyes. She gave them to my daughter, to my son. It's pretty darn cool. And, hold on. Sorry, I had to sneeze. And anyways, so here I am. Everything is standing still around and behind my mother. There's no sound coming from the television. No people making noise. My arms are open to give my mom a hug. And I'm looking at whatever it is in my mother's eyes. And immediately I got sick to my stomach and wanted to cry because even though I have no proof of this, I have to tell you, what I felt like I was looking at was not my mother, but the angel of death. And I kind of turned my head to the side, kind of leaned it to the side, my right side. And my mother all of a sudden got this look of shock on her face, kind of like, oh, you see me. Then she shook her head. And after she shook her head, her eyes went blue, the sound went on the television. She came and gave me a hug like nothing happened. 2 seconds, 3 at the max. My entire life changed. 7:45 p.m., December 13th. So my mom gives me a hug, and I'm just standing there wondering what the hell it was I just saw. And I immediately start making my way to the bedroom, down the hall to my master bedroom. Mrs. SOR follows me. I go into the room, and I'm almost crying, and I'm hyperventilating. She's like, what's going on? What happened? And I told her. I just saw the angel of death in my mother's eyes. So I quickly grabbed myself together because my parents were getting about ready to leave. I walked them out to their vehicle and came back and just kind of was in a glaze, in a daze, trying to figure out what it was I saw. So anyways, later that night, when everybody had left, a couple hours later, the kids are now in bed. Mrs. SOR has this idea to go sit in our living room, light a candle. We have 2 couches. We had a love seat and a couch. And they were split apart, and there was a table in between them. And so I'm sitting on the love seat. She's on the couch. And we are sitting there. I said, what do you want me to do? She goes, I want you just to relax, try and figure out what it was that you saw. So she started putting me through all this meditation stuff that up until that point I thought was a bunch of woo, bunch of garbage stuff that I had never, ever believed in. Ever. Then there was the 38 minutes that I don't remember. I shouldn't say that. I remember portions of it. So during that 38 minutes, after I was kind of out, I began to channel the angel of death. Now, my opinion of channeling, previous to this, was sitting on a couch with my thumb on the remote control channel button and scrolling up and down to try and find something to watch on the tube. Especially if there wasn't a hockey game on. Because being Canadian, it's kind of what I kind of like. Yeah. So here I am, sitting on the couch, feet on the ground, my hands to my side, and all of a sudden this angel of death voice starts coming through me. Yes. So Mrs. SOR starts asking me questions about what's going on. What did I see? So this is what I remember from that 38 minutes. I remember him saying this, that my mother was indeed sick. You see, what happened, and I got to explain this, what happened was my mother, previous, has been a breast cancer and colon cancer survivor. She is one tough lady. One tough lady. And my mother seemed to, in the children's eyes, my 2 sisters and my eyes, seemed to get addicted to the sympathy that came along with being ill. So you would call up to my parents' house. My mom would answer the phone and she'd be like, hello. And you'd be like, oh, hey, Mom, how you doing? And she'd be like, oh, the pain, the pain. And after about a couple hundred phone calls like that over the years, where everything was about pain and suffering, I hate to admit it, but I'm man enough to, started not calling. Because I got sick of it. Couldn't have a conversation with my mother without her mentioning pain. And me being so stupidly arrogant and naive about everything, along with my sisters and even my father to the little bit of an extent, it seemed to really, really pick up. So anyways, the angel of death told Mrs. SOR through me, that my mother was indeed in a lot of pain, and she was still quite sick. And if we as a family did not start showing my mother more love, more attention, more respect, he was going to take her home. He did not say heaven. He did not say hell. He just said that he was going to take her home. Now that's frightening. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm fighting it while this thing is channeling through me. Mrs. SOR is having a grand old time because she loves this spiritual woo stuff. So here I am, listening to this angel of death that I saw in my mother's eyes, ready to take her away. Now, I'm not ready to lose my mom. So, Mrs. SOR asks, or maybe it was me, I don't recall this part. I think it was her. What can we do to keep Mom alive? And he says, you need to start showing her more love, more attention, more respect. As an entire family. If not, I'm going to take her home. Kind of a wake-up call there, don't you think? A little bit of a wake-up call. Trying to figure out what is going on. Do I really keep my mother alive because of this? Because with my journalism background, you try and take things with a skeptical nature. Try and take things with a grain of salt. And let's face it, this incident was like woo times 10. But there it was, happening. And I am sitting there in the front seat. So after about 38 minutes, he leaves, and it comes out of my body. I am dead tired. I wake up, stand up, walk to the bedroom, and immediately fell asleep. Next morning, I woke up like I was hung right over. And I didn't drink the night before. But my neck was sore. I had a throbbing headache. My arms were sore. My back was sore. And it was just a weird experience. So I immediately get on the phone within the next day or two with my sisters, tell them what happened. Not really understanding what I'm supposed to tell them or even if they will believe me. I feared telling my dad. I didn't tell my dad for another 18 months. Because my dad was one of those five senses guys up until recently. And he wouldn't have believed me. So here I am, calling my sisters, telling them, yep, Angel of Death visited me last night. Said, Mom's sick. Going to start showing her more love. I said it a little bit more compassionately than that. But the beautiful part about it was my mother's still alive. Because my mom would have missed out on some pretty cool stuff if he had taken her home. Likely she would have missed out on seeing my son being born and getting to hold him, which is amazing as it is because my mother was so weak that she could barely lift a fork to her mouth to eat. And the day my son was born, which was in 2013, here she is carrying my boy around like it was nothing, like he was light as a feather. It gave her another purpose. And this year my mother turned, let's see, I'm 46. She's 76. Yeah, 76. So that's how I got indoctrinated into this entire process that we call the paranormal, was that event. You don't have to believe it. I don't expect you to believe it. But I do know this. I know it was true to me. It was very real to me. And the outcome continues because my mother is still alive. Since that day, my house became haunted. Every house I've lived in since. It's only been 2. Saw Bigfoot. 2 of them. Lots of UFOs. aliens. And this is why, everyone, I get so worked up about the idea of why this is all happening right now, because there's a lot of people out there like me who just want to know, why me? Why did this stuff happen to me? I lived a very productive, happily boring life. I had my 2 trips to Vegas every year. I had my house, beautiful vehicles, beautiful family, 2 dogs, 1 cat, then 2 cats, then 3 cats, then 1 cat moved over to the neighbors. So then I was back down to 2 cats. Why me? And if you read my last blog about the experiencers, how we're the forgotten souls in this entire disclosure process, it's very, very personal. It's very much aware that each and every one of you, whether you are on the woo train listening to shows like this every night, or whether you're a casual bystander looking behind you and in front of you about this topic, because you got a mere interest in it. This affects everybody. This is why I'm so hard on the narrative. Tell us what the narrative is. Why are you doing this now? Because there are thousands of people just like me, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe into the millions. And they all want to know, why me? That's what everybody wants to know. Why me? Why did this happen to me? Why did I see Bigfoot? Why is my house haunted? Why did I get taken by aliens? Why am I able to predict the future? Why am I able to look into the past and talk to the dead? There's a lot of why me out there, and nobody is asking that question, especially the mainstream media. And that's why I push so hard on going through this entire narrative role. That's why I don't support To the Stars Academy. That's why I try and push our people, our beautiful listeners, to places that I trust and to people that I trust. Because it's important. It's important to all of us. Because we shouldn't be a part of the narrative. We are the narrative. Geraldine Orozco, we're going to try and get a hold of her here. She's traveling, but is going to take our call by cell phone. I'm going to try her here in a couple of minutes, and hopefully we'll be able to connect for the spiritual you. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott. We'll talk to you in a couple seconds. Hey, Spaced Out Radio listeners, it's Dave Scott. I want you to check out a great documentary I'm involved in called Beyond the Spectrum, Mosson's UFO Files. Directed by Darcy Weir, the film follows Jaime Mosson's journey for mainstream journalistic truth in ufology in Mexico. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon Prime. If you're a member, watch it free. It's worth the watch. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Good to have you all with us. Reminder, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And our website is spacedoutradio.com, where you can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, listen to the show live. The Gavinator has new features coming very, very soon. It's the Spiritual You. It happens the first Tuesday of every month. And joining us, a little bit late, a little tardy, but she has her hair done and a nice pair of shoes on, is Geraldine Orozco from Bay Area Meditation. Geraldine is one of the best out there right now when it comes to talking about everything from Zen and Chi to ET contact and a good pair of yoga pants. Welcome back, Geraldine.
Dave, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'm just so excited to get started with our topics tonight. It's going to be a great show.
Well, I have to ask a little question, because you just mentioned something to me in like 2 seconds before we came back from break, that you're on your way to Canada.
I am, and I'm so excited. This is my first time up in Canada. I'm going up to Vancouver, and we're taking a train up from Oregon all the way up to Vancouver, and we're going to spend a couple of days up there and go up to Whistler. It's going to be just amazing, and I'm very excited. I hear that Canada is absolutely gorgeous. There's just so many amazing things about it. How far are you from Vancouver, Dave?
Well, when you go to Whistler, I'm about a 2-hour drive north. Are you there on the weekend? Are you there on the weekend?
Yes, I am.
I may come to Whistler and meet up with you.
Oh, my gosh, that would be so wonderful. Let's talk about that. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? Jordan Peace, I know he's listening right now. He brings all the people up to Vancouver and Whistler, and you know who he never calls? Me. I'm like the resident gnome of this area.
Oh, my God, the resident gnome, and we haven't seen you yet.
I know.
Well,
I know.
I do hope we get to see you this weekend. Wouldn't that just be amazing? Let's talk about that.
I will do my best. I will do my best to get down there. I will do my best to get down there. You just make sure you set me the dates, and then we will make it happen, because Mrs. SOR could use a good night away.
Oh, and I can't wait to meet her. That would be so wonderful. Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll have a fun time. We'll see how the plan works out. We definitely will.
Okay.
But most of all, what have you been up to? You have been running around this western United States all over the place. Jordan and his hair got you running, from state to state, conference to conference. You are becoming quite the popular diva on the field right now.
Oh, you're so sweet for saying that. I have been at some wonderful conferences. I was at Contact in the Desert this year, and it was amazing. There was an incredible turnout at that one. And I was there with the film, Extraordinary the Seating, as you know. And, I'm just so excited to share that the film has been doing so well. We've actually just received our 13th laurel, their 13th award for Best Film, Best Director. It's just unbelievable, Dave. And can you imagine that a topic on the hybridization program is getting this much, really awards? It's just incredible. So that was really fun. And yes, it's good for all of us in the field that we can actually talk about this, and especially for the experiencers out there, the women and men that are experiencing the hybridization program, that we can we're kind of putting it out there. And I've been noticing a lot of films that have been put out are about the hybridization program. So I think we're starting to get a little bit more into these topics, which is very interesting. It's coming into mainstream. Do you see that, Dave?
I hope so. But one of the concerns that I do have is the fact, Geraldine, that through this entire disclosure process that we have been seeing, and you are very tightly tied, even though we can go in any direction with you, whether it's consciousness, ET contact, or just finding your chi in meditation, you are an experiencer. You are someone like many of us out there who have had ET contact or abduction scenarios. You've talked about it on this show. And the one thing that I am noticing, and I'm curious if you have too, and I've talked to other people like Melinda Leslie and Lorian Fenton and Grant Cameron about this, that it really seems that throughout this entire process that we call disclosure, that the experiencer has been kind of put and cast away to the side. Like the experiences aren't important. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes. I have to say, I don't have, I haven't been in the field as long as Melinda Leslie, but just being in this field the last few years has really shown me something very interesting about the experiencer phenomena. And what I see is that, the voice of disclosure right now, it's, very, very specifically governed, I guess, by a certain few that are in these fields. And I was saddened when I realized that as I come into the field, that maybe there are certain subjects that take precedence over something as important as experiencers, the people that actually are out there experiencing these things, ET contact. I mean, we're not just talking about people that are having dreams. We're talking about people that have marks on their bodies, that are experiencing, trauma, that actually have their lives turned upside down, similar to my story and many others, including your own, that we have changed our entire lives because of something like this. So to me, it's very interesting that there isn't more focus at these conferences on the experiencer. But I do have to say that over the past, couple conferences that I've been to, I have seen more experiencer groups opening, and there are a couple people that are out there that are brave enough to talk about it. I think it's a very touchy subject, and I mean, when we talk about contact, there's a couple facets that we have to take into consideration. There's the consideration focus on the consciousness, questioning consciousness and how these events actually occur. And then we're talking about the other side of it, which is, government control, government experiments, the technology aspect of it, and all of them are very important. But I think what we're missing is a really clear understanding on what we're as a society experiencing here as experiencers. Well,
one of the things that caught my concern. One of the things that caught my concern about it was, if you're an experiencer like you or myself or the thousands of others that are out there, UFOs are very synonymous with ET contact and or abduction. And now, according to the new guidelines of all of this that is coming out in the press, we're not supposed to confuse the two. How do experiencers get it through people's heads that you can't have one without the other?
I know, and one of the things, one thing is the UFO thing, and the UFO aspect is very interesting. I mean, we are seeing more of it. We're seeing it in films. It's coming out in mainstream stronger than ever, I think, which is interesting. I mean, we even have our president talking about creating some kind of a militia that's going to be protecting us from UFO attacks or extraterrestrial contact, or, so there's something to be said about that. That I don't believe that's been something that's been publicized before in our mainstream. So I think that we're going into a different direction where we're now questioning, and I think this information comes out in phases as well, right? Right now, One thing is for our society to question, what are those little ships in the sky? Are they ours? Are they someone else's? Where do they come from? But another thing is to actually talk to someone that has seen, aliens, in other terms, other interdimensional beings, other manifestations of life forms that are not human. And that's where things get really, they get scary. People feel very threatened by it. So I think it's something that has to happen in kind of phases. It's been happening for a very long time, but the thing is that we need to make sure that the information isn't being controlled or limited. I mean, when it comes to these things, there's so much information out there that we all have the ability to sit down and research and look for. And again, it's really up to us to be able to question not just what is that ship in the sky, but who's flying it, what does that mean about our physics, what does it mean about our reality, what does it mean about society, what does it mean about our history? Because as you know, the more we get into these topics, the more our historical timeline, the more many aspects of society are going to start to crumble away. And that's pretty scary. That's scary for a lot of people. So, I mean, it's something that has to happen in phases, and we got to be prepared for that from the inside out. And I think we're working towards that. But it's up to us, the experiencer, like me and you and many others, thousands of others, to speak up about it, to feel safe enough to share the experiences. And this is kind of what I'm really working towards, and I know you are as well, to open space to have these conversations. So, I mean, I think it's a step-by-step thing, and we're in that direction.
But when you look at everybody, whether it's major researchers like Richard Dolan, or whether it's TTSA, or whether it's the mainstream media, we don't see a lot of people talking about the experience. Is it because the mainstream right now, in your opinion, is trying to wrap their heads around that after years of denying this story, they're caught off guard that it's real?
Yeah. I think that there is a level of control right now that directs our attention at things that don't go to question the deeper aspects of these things. Because when you talk about interdimensional contact or contact with physical aliens, I mean, as I'm telling you, our whole paradigm of belief is turned upside down. And so in order to keep society, their superficial concepts of reality, perceptions of reality, belief systems, safe and intact in alignment with what the current matrix concept is of reality, they have to keep things on a very superficial level. And to distract you and talk about UFOs, I think, is one of the best ways to do it, really, because, they get you caught up in the concepts of, UFOs and the technology and this and this and that, but there's so much more, and very few of us have the ability, because of some people that haven't had experiences don't have the ability to link these two and to look beyond there and actually question physics and reality. And when we talk about contact, we have to question consciousness, because we're going into the realm where a lot of people experience things in dream time, some of them at dream time, some of them when they go to sleep, and the average person will look at that experience and they'll say, well, how do we know it's not a dream? How do we know it's not, lucid dreaming or something like this? These things that are, for the majority, for the average person, things that are very, they're already getting out into the woo, per se. They don't want to get into that because they have to question a lot of things. And the belief system right now is not allowing us to do that. Because look at how we are extremely brainwashed with television and shows. Even though these things are coming out into mainstream media, what happens is it desensitizes people from being able to link a movie to reality. But what they don't know is that a lot of these things that are being put out in films are things that are based on actually real live events. I mean, how many films have been made based on true stories, true contact experiences? And a lot of even us as experiencers, we think that we have to turn our books that we're writing about our experience into novels to make it more digestible for the average And to be honest, in a sense, I almost feel like that's a disservice to the information, because we keep babysitting our society into thinking that they have to be fearful and not have those important questions, the difficult questions of what it is to have contact. So at one point or another, as a society, we really have to go in there and ask those questions. And as I mentioned, it's a process that the only way that we're going to allow our, brothers and sisters to feel safe enough to have those questions is by starting to talk about it without fear, without having to feel shame, without just being very honest about the things that are occurring, without sugarcoating things or changing them. And sometimes that can be very hard. I mean, we're also dealing with a lot of trauma days, trauma from the average person that experiences these things. And right now in the field, I mean, when you go to the conferences, very few of the speakers are experiencers. And I think it has a lot to do with also the fact that it's a business. The conference is a business, and we are trying to get as much disclosure out, I guess, the information that comes out. But again, some of this is controlled, in my opinion, in a sense, in some ways. So I think as in everything in our society, it's up to us how we receive information, how we get it, and we have to be the ones to share our experiences bravely to get this stuff out there, to change the dynamic of the conversation.
Would it help if more radio shows, hosts, or media outlets started taking a look at the people who have had these experiences?
I do believe so, and I think there are shows that are coming up that are talking about experiences. I mean, I've heard of several shows that are potentially coming out on experiencers, so I really hope that those do get put out. And I really have to say, even though I'm quite new in the field, in comparison to other people that have been here 20, 30 years researching, I don't think we've ever seen the number of conferences that are being put out for ET contact. I mean, do you realize how many conferences are out a year now? It's pretty interesting how many are being produced, the kinds of shows that are being showed, documentaries that are being showed on this topic. So I think we're finally getting somewhere. It's a matter of creating a safety net, and more importantly, empowering our society and the individual to be able to do the research. And these radio shows, by being able to direct them in the right direction of where to look for the research, how to educate themselves, going to the places, reading the books, it's all there. As you know, if you want to question reality and your history timeline, your historic timeline, all you have to do is get in there and start researching our history. And it really is all there. It's very open. It's just a matter of doing the work. So hopefully we begin listening to these shows and taking the time to educate ourselves with these topics.
Well, I hope so, as we got about 5 minutes to go before we had to break at the top of the hour. Geraldine Orozco's Spiritual You happens the first Tuesday of every month. Geraldine, in regards to that, because I want to end this side of the topic on this, in regards to the experiencer, are the voices being canceled out now because of the popularity the media is showing with these UFOs in the United States Navy?
Well, I do feel that is a important aspect of this. I mean, when you have these shows that are very adamant about focusing on these things like the military and that, I feel like it kind of keeps people's focus on this part, because they look at the ships and you keep questioning the ships, but not a lot do they go, well, who's driving those ships? Who's flying those ships? Whose technology is this? I mean, I feel like the conversation always gets to that point and then it stops every time. And so I think that's a disservice to, the information that's being put out and to our listeners, to, society, to our community. But when it comes to the experiencer, again, I mean, when you start talking about in person actually experiencing these things, I mean, and look at the hybridization program, something so, so tangible, because you are talking about something that a woman is experiencing miscarriages over and over again. If you see the film, Extraordinary Seating, you're going to see the experiences of some people that are very traumatic. I mean, we have medical documents to support these things, experiences that cannot be explained, but are very clearly something out of the norm. I mean, getting pregnant without having intercourse, and then, having a miscarriage, and then not having a fetus there. I mean, all these things that are occurring are not something that's normal. And, that's where it starts to question reality. And if the average person hears that, they're going to get terrified. They initially, if they don't understand the process and what's happening there, if they don't understand that there is other life outside of this planet, it's going to be very difficult for them to integrate this information. So I think it's a process, and each individual that shares their story, has a responsibility with the authenticity that they're sharing it with. And the problem is that there aren't many of us that are actually stepping up to the plate openly. I mean, even within our community, we shy away from sharing our story. So that has to change. That really has to change. Even if they're focusing on that, we have to be the ones to kind of speak out and talk about the experiences very openly to change the paradigm.
So with 2 minutes left before we go to break at the top of the hour, why did you feel it was important for you to come out? What made you decide this was the time, this was the place?
For me, once I had that veil lifted, when I had my regression, when I had my experience, when I had my MyLab, I mean, my life changed completely. I sold my business, quit my job, and I focused on this because it is, to me, I cannot understand how people can live without questioning reality when there are things like this occurring. And for me, finding the truth is the most important thing, in everything. I mean, I can't continue living a regular life without having answers to these questions that are so important. And as a woman experiencing the hybridization program, and the confusion, pain, and the struggle to integrate that, I can't imagine other women that have gone through this and allow them to go through it alone. It's a very lonely process. It's a very isolating experience. So for me, it's important to be of service to those that are experiencing that and contribute in every way I can with my information, with my support, with my research that I do on these topics to try to support those that are going through that. That's really important. And I think that it'll shape our society going forward, because then others feel safe enough to step up to the plate and say, yes, I've had this experience and I don't have to feel ashamed. And we can start learning. We educate our society. More and more of us piece together this puzzle. We're all a piece of the puzzle. So we all have to step up to be able to create a true version of this reality that we're living in.
We only got about 20 seconds here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Geraldine, is there a point where, and maybe we can answer this after, because I got a couple people already asking if we could talk hybridization in the next half hour. Are you comfortable with that? You're good with that, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, we will definitely get that. We'll let the audience take the direction from here on.
Absolutely.
Let's just let it happen. Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You is here the first Tuesday of every month. Geraldine's website are GeraldineOrozco.com and BayAreaMeditation.com. Highly suggest you check her out. She's one of the most brilliant minds in the field of ufology, disclosure, hybridization today. And we got her here for another hour and a half. More Space Out Radio coming up.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com. Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hey fans, it's Dave Scott. Do I have something for you to check out? A great documentary about legendary Mexican investigative journalist Jaime Maussan and his search for the truth about UFOs. Beyond the Spectrum, Maussan's UFO files can be found on Amazon Prime. It's free to watch if you're a member. You might even hear me in it. So check out Beyond the Spectrum, only on Amazon Prime. The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacey, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow night on the show, Suzanne Chancellor joins us to talk about ET abduction. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in across our terrestrial affiliates, starting off in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF AM 1560, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. Down in Noonan, Georgia, WQEE 99.1 FM, and in New Orleans, UPRN 107.7 FM. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check our archives free at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Amphibiolith. What the hell is that, Clam? Amphibiolith is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the Gavinator is working on putting some new details up here in the next short while. So stay tuned. Up until that, you can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, listen to the show live, and much more. The first Tuesday of the month, we have the lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco here for The Spiritual You. She is based out of San Francisco, California. Her websites, GeraldineOrozco.com and BayAreaMeditation.com. Now, in this hour, we are going to get to hybridization. How does it happen? How do you know? Geraldine, how did you first find out about your hybridization and that you were part of this program?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and thank you so much to the listeners for coming to this topic, to getting to this topic. This is such a controversial and very important topic, mainly because when I had my first experience, it was in 2013. That was when I was taken out of my bedroom in Union City, California, and into craft. And when I got taken on craft, this is when I was actually introduced to my hybrid children. Now, we hear these stories, but one thing is to hear the story and hear, okay, this woman is now meeting these children, and she says she recognizes them. But I really can't stress how impactful it is to me in front of these children that you have never met before in your life, and you have the most powerful emotional and physical reaction to meeting them. The connection is just unbelievable. And I mean, I've heard documentaries and stories about, long lost brothers or twins or mother and daughter that somehow reconnect from one side of the world to another. And when they meet each other, they know that they're related. They have so many similarities. There's just something that tells them. And that is the closest thing that I can give it an example as to how it feels to be introduced to these hybrid children. I mean, when you see this beautiful child in front of you that isn't quite human, there's a sense of confusion. And, immediately you're not getting the panic because you're not registering how they came to be, but you begin to question, how is it possible that I have children? I don't remember being pregnant. I don't remember, and of course I don't have children. So for me, meeting these children and having that emotional connection was very powerful. And one of the most interesting things about it is that maternal instinct that comes in that makes you feel like you want to protect this child. This child is yours. The child looks like you. And immediately the child recognizes you and speaks telepathically to you. And that's what happened to me on Craft. And after that experience, my only proof of that experience, as I was mentioning earlier, we have the confusion of whether these are experiences or real things that happen. But this experience is realer than real life. I mean, I can tell you to this day in perfect detail. I can tell you everything that I saw within the Craft. My experience was so vivid. And my proof, which changed my life, was that the next Monday, when I had my first client, my meditation student of the week, I can see their entire multidimensional body. And I mean, it took me weeks to readjust to this new ability that was activated as a result of the contact experience, of meeting these children, of being on Craft. So, my life was turned completely upside down, and it took me years until 2017 to actually act on what had happened and get a regression. And when I got my regression, I went through all of the experiences that I've had that were impactful in my life. And what I realized is that in the regression, the experiences that I was reliving at different stages in my life, when I was 5 years old, when I was 16, when I was 21, when I was 24, and I had miscarriages, or I ended up in the hospital with some illness or something that I thought was an illness. I would go to the doctor, I would get checked up, the doctor wouldn't be able to identify what it was. I would be given medications, I would be allergic to things all of a sudden. And so my body was changing. There was an evolution that was occurring that I couldn't understand. And I also didn't think for one moment that it was connected to anything like ET contact. I mean, that was so far outside of my paradigm that I would have never been able to link that to, it was the farthest thing from my mind. So, I mean, when we're talking about hybridization experiences, we're talking about a series of events that starts in childhood. For me, it started when I was 5 years old with implants. And so when these implants are put into the body, we're not just talking about etheric implants or things that, we believe we have. I'm talking about the human going through a physical reaction as a result of actually having technology put into the physical body. So, these are things that if I hadn't gone through the regression, there's no way that I would have known that that's what it was. I would have thought, oh, it was a flu, or it was, something happened, or I fell and I hit myself, or something like that, and I had bruises or marks on my body. So this is where things start to get a little difficult to pinpoint, and it isn't until you meet someone that has had the experience to help guide you and navigate those experiences to be able to tell you if this is actually contact. But more likely than not, when you have someone that has dreams, that keeps telling you over and over, they have dreams of ET contact, they have dreams of ships, they have dreams of being in ships, meeting these kinds of aliens, different kinds of species, and then they have physical reactions, then you really have to start to question and say, well, there must be something to this. There's actually something going on. So the hybridization program starts in childhood where the implantation begins. The implantation is done to prep the physical body for when the human comes into adolescence and is ready to go. The body is ready to, have children. So they start their cycle for the women. And at that point, the body is then undergoing, a lot of stages of development, but an implantation or an insemination will begin. And when the insemination process begins, there is a gestation process. And the gestation process really doesn't last longer than about 3 months maximum. I have heard other experiencers that have had longer terms. But what will happen is that the fetus is then removed. So one of two things will happen. Either the person will automatically somehow no longer be pregnant, or they will go through a miscarriage. Sometimes the miscarriage will produce the fetus. Sometimes it will not produce a fetus. And, there's been anomalous experiences. In my personal experience, for my miscarriages, I wouldn't even be partnered and get pregnant. And so that was interesting because then, when I would go to the doctor would say, oh, it's probably just stress. And then later on when I would have a miscarriage, there wouldn't be a fetus. And again, the doctor would say, oh, the body, probably absorbed it, or, you're stressed out or something like this. And I hear this story over and over again, So when I was talking earlier about how the experiencer it's so important for us to talk about these things. When you hear the same kinds of stories from thousands of women that have never been privy to any kind of ET contact or experienced stories like this, like my story, it's really amazing. It really is. And the level of detail that we can go into these things, and much more the documentation, the medical record, the many times that I've gone to the doctor with some kind of horrible, for example, quote unquote, amoeba, and then from one day to the next, it's disappeared, it's gone, and I'm no longer dying from this amoeba, and the doctor doesn't understand how that happened. Things like this that really just change your life. And if it wasn't for my regressions to be able to go back and relive those, I would have never been able to explain them in this way. So that is the first part of the hybridization.
Right.
Yes, Dave?
I was just going to kind of throw in there, too. You have it from a woman's perspective.
Right.
But how often is this happening to men as well?
Yes, and it is. It's just as much as women, men are also experienced. We cannot discount that. And for men, their experiences are a little different. For example, men will have, the most common thing that I've heard is that they have dreams that they're having sexual encounters with aliens. Sometimes, very, experiences that are very exciting and very pleasure, and enticing experiences, and other experiences that are extremely traumatic. And, the person will wake up as if, and excuse me for saying, but if there are listeners out there, I want them to be able to identify if that's what they're feeling. But they will wake up with something like a wet dream, or they will wake up with these nightmares, or in the middle of the night at these specific hours of the night, like 3 a.m, or a very specific time. And so these kinds of patterns, and they will have marks on their body. This is what we keep hearing over and over again from the male experiencers. They will also have the experiences where they're brought on craft and introduced to their children. And a lot of them will relate these experiences to previous dreams of being on craft and being having intercourse with other alien females, or maybe even other human females as well. So the hybridization program is very complex. There's many parts to it. There's also many different agendas, I believe, that are driven by different species. And we're talking about a range of frequency, which means that there are low frequency experiences, which are maybe very uncomfortable, darker experiences, and some that are perceived to be as some beautiful, experiences that are very enjoyable. But the result of them is that there are children that are being produced as a product from utilizing the genetic material of humans and combining them with ET, DNA. And the process of all of this, it can either be, actual in vitro or insemination, where the woman is going through the gestation process, or it's something that the genetic material is removed and then is also tampered with, to genetically modify the product that's being created. So it's a very broad topic, and one of the things that surprises me, being in the field, is the fact that how come we're not talking more about this, given its complexity, given the many facets of the hybridization program. That's something that I just don't understand. But I think it's time to talk about it.
But I think it's one of those taboo topics that gets a little PG-13 to restricted very, very quickly, to use a movie chart, because a lot of people can say they've seen UFOs. A lot of people can say they've been abducted. But when you bring in the whole sexualization of everything, and I don't know whether or not it's actually having sex, that's where people get a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit queasy with this topic, and the notion that you might be able to have sex with an alien or have sex with somebody else who's also being abducted because they want to see how it's done. I mean, that's where it gets a little freakish for a number of people.
That's absolutely right, and that's where it becomes even more, because for us, I mean, the human perception is, sex is already completely inverted in our society. The concept of sex is completely inverted. It's a taboo subject. It's a subject that is surrounded by a lot of shame and a lot of control. The majority of our concept on sexuality is driven a lot by the concepts that our society imposes us on what sex should be. And a lot of the influence of that comes from religion, the concept of religion. And I believe that in some ways it's been, completely darkened, the concept of sex, even for us humans, even between humans, it's such a difficult topic to even have. So when you bring in, something like alien contact, it just becomes like something so horrific and so, something so taboo, where it's like we are being completely violated on the highest level possible. And I do understand this. And even when I first found out about this, my family, when they heard this, it was very difficult for them to process this kind of an idea. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of shame. There was a lot of upset. Like, how can my daughter, for example, have been violated in this way without her knowing? Or, all of these things that as humans we feel completely just, it's unacceptable. And, but I think a way that we can look at this is in our society, even in our own society, we are under a lot of control and a lot of influence. And who's to say that on the highest level, our entire planet is under, another level of influence? If we look back at the timeline of history, this is very controversial, of course. We have the concept of the Darwinian concept of evolution, but there is a lot of research that is coming in now, more into mainstream, about our evolution. And the more we learn about our DNA, the more we can understand that our DNA has been genetically modified at some point in our historical timeline. But when you start to begin to get educated on this and asking the questions, well, let's question the historical timeline. Let's look at the DNA and the facts, and the fact that the human body has at some point been tampered with, because there's no way that genetically we can be immediately related, or the evolutionary jump is so, short in between apes, or the earliest humanoid into the human now. It just doesn't pan out. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work that way. So when we start to question that, then we can kind of start to be like, okay, so what's actually happening? How is this genetic modification happening within our historical timeline and in our human race? And my hope is that the more that we look into that, the more we understand that there is some other factor to our evolution, that there is something that is directing that. And if you look at it from that perspective, then you start to question other life forms that are perhaps more intelligent, that have been here before. We also look to our ancient races that are more technologically advanced than even we are. And we're talking about, hundreds of thousands of years before us. So we really need to start looking at things from the perspective of a little bit higher perspective, because if we continue to look at things from a very microscopic view, we're looking through this myopic lens that, things are just right here immediately, and it's our families that are affected, it's not going to work, because then we come into the perspective of we are being violated, and all we're looking through is the lens of, what is right and wrong, under the lens of what is shameful, what is correct, and all of those perceptions are quite controlled through our concept of religion and society, which is incorrect at this point. It is incomplete. So, we're not just talking about sex with aliens. We're talking about an entire human race that is genetically modified, that there is a new way to look at the evolution of mankind. And I hope that that's where we go with this, because that's where we need to focus on. These children that are being created are using genetic material from our human race with other species that are perhaps more advanced on some level to create these beings. And there's a reason for that, right? I talk a lot about how the human is, and the more we understand what the human is, the more we understand why that's occurring. The human race is a very advanced, technologically advanced race from the perspective that we are biotechnology, in other words. And that takes us into another realm. We're talking about consciousness. So
absolutely. We got about a minute left here before we got to go to break. What's the biggest, and maybe we should carry this question in to the next half hour, because we've never really talked about the male side of hybridization either. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a real big topic there, because a lot of our listeners are male. And we only think of the hybridization program affecting women. And it's weird to think that men are a part of it too.
Yes. Absolutely.
So why don't you just, well, let's get into that next half hour. We'll get into it all.
Right.
We'll continue on. It's what we do around here. We got about 10 seconds here, so we're just going to head off into break here. Geraldine Orozco is here with The Spiritual You. It happens the first Tuesday of every month, and her hair is looking fine, as per always, because we like Geraldine's hair around here.
I got a match today.
Oh, you just stop. Her website's GeraldineOrozco.com, BayAreaMeditation.com. She's one of the best out there. That's why she is here on Spaced Out Radio once a month. More Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You coming up after this. Hey, Spaced Out Radio listeners, it's Dave Scott. I want you to check out a great documentary I'm involved in called Beyond the Spectrum, Mosson's UFO Files. Directed by Darcy Weir, the film follows Jaime Mosson's journey for mainstream journalistic truth in ufology in Mexico. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon Prime. If you're a member, watch it free. It's worth the watch.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you listening in tonight. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed this show or others, you can always check out our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, still being built by the Gavinator. We're going to have some new features coming up soon. Is spacedoutradio.com. You can read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, listen to the show live, and much more. Geraldine Orozco comes in the first Tuesday of every month with The Spiritual You. This is where we connect with our Zen, our Chi, our alien hybrid children. We're going there right now. Geraldine's website is GeraldineOrozco.com, as well as BayAreaMeditation.com. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much. So happy to be here.
I'm feeling masculine tonight. Masculine. Am I allowed to say that anymore? I don't know. But nonetheless, we were talking about hybridization in the last half hour, and we're going to continue it here because for a lot of people, we think of it just as a female program, except there are men, as you explained, that are going through this as well. One of my most vivid encounters, and I don't know if I'm part of that program or not, but one of my most vivid encounters was I was taken with Mrs. SOR. And the next thing I know, we were passed out. It was the first time that I had been taken where I actually saw other people around me. And that was kind of interesting.
Wow.
I still don't know if I could see them. Like if they walked up to them or walked in front of me today, I don't know if I would recognize them. But I remember we were taken up to this level and there was this kind of velvety type chairs, like bench that we were sitting on. And it was kind of like semicircle. We sat down. The next thing I know, I'm passed out on my stomach. And when I got up, that's where I saw the little gray dude walking away. But what really tripped me out was what was behind him. Because as angry as I was at him for taking me, it was a little baby, like that toddler doing the duck walk right behind him. And what I remember of that child was the diaper. I knew it was male. And the diaper is what I remembered. Because the diaper was like luminescent green with black and luminescent red veins running through the luminescent green. And that little child followed that gray. And I remember sitting there saying, what the? I used the terminology. I can't on the radio. But I knew right there that there was something about that child. Now, do I know that I was a hybrid kid of mine? I don't know. But because I'm like the majority of people out there, I think that these hybrid children, I only think of the woman's side. I don't think of the man's side in all of this. So how do I figure that out?
Wow, that's very interesting, and your story is similar to many others that I've heard up until this point, Dave. How did you feel when you saw the child? What was your initial reaction?
I was confused.
Mm-hmm.
I was very confused, and then my eyes caught the diaper. Mm-hmm. And that's what I totally remember. The child, I don't recall if the child looked at me. I don't recall if the child waved at me, said hello. All I know is the child was following this little ET dude who's one weird-looking scientist. And that's what kind of...
that's very interesting.
But I do know this. It killed my anger right off the bat. It killed my anger because I was so angry at this dude, at this gray. And I was screaming at him. And I told him I was plotting revenge. And then the baby walked by. And that's what kind of shut it all down. There was all of a sudden this reality to it.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I mean, for ET contact for males, I mean, I'm just going to go down, jotted down a little list of some of the things, the process that I usually hear, and let's see if maybe you resonate with any of this or you recognize. I mean, for male contact, a lot of males will identify seeing ships prior the night of having contact. They will see them in the sky. And then they would go to bed and they would have these incredible experiences out of their room. Either they are having interdimensional contact, they're having it in dream time, or they're physically removed out of their environment into craft. And for men, the experience isn't always, involving showing them the children. Some of them are just experiencing the sexual experience, or they're, going through the typical experience where they're on a bed or a medical stretcher or a bed like that, where they are then, there some kind of experiments are being taken on the body. But it'll start either with sightings outside where they see a UFO. A lot of them will report missing time, where they will be at one place at one time, and then, they would just disappear. They don't remember what happened, and then it's hours later. That's a very typical, experience. And during that experience, some of them won't remember, but when they are regressed, then they have the common dreams. And the common dreams revolve around either being in a classroom or in a nursery where they are shown children. Experiments are being done on their body. They are literally in some kind of a, somewhat medical environment where they have lights and equipment around them, and the ETs or the extraterrestrials of various species are either presenting children to them, or they are presenting women to them in order for them to have intercourse. And sometimes those experiences can be very public, they can be very traumatic, and sometimes they can be very pleasurable. Another thing that is very common with this kind of ET contact is screened images. This is a very, very common experience that happens with a lot of men, that they will either be brought on craft, or they will have some kind of experience where they are interdimensionally taken out of a time space into another quote-unquote dimension, where they are then experienced and presented women. They are made to, have intercourse with the women. And during that process, they will initially be shown the image of a beautiful woman, whatever it is. And a lot of these images are usually taken from the subconscious mind of a human, which, they obviously, this technology is created by, their subconscious taste or their subconscious ideals on what a perfect woman looks like. And in the process of the intercourse, a lot of times the men will experience having a double vision where they, they will see the woman, but then it'll be almost as if the screen begins to eliminate, and beyond that they will see another ET being. Either it'll be a reptilian being or a gray or another kind of extraterrestrial species that is just screening themselves, which means it's a holographic projection of something else. And that something else will be something that, the human is familiar with. So, for example, a question I would have for you, if you would come to my support group, for example, it would be, when you saw your wife on board, do you think it was really her or was it a projection? Could it have been a projection? So that would be the kind of question I would ask. And so what would you say to that, Dave, when you saw your wife? Did that feel very real, or do you think that it was some kind of technology being put out?
Oh, no, it was real. I saw her beside me when I woke up, and she was sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So, I mean, it's been heard of that couples do get, taken, and whether it's proximity or, whether it's, genetically, obviously these lineages. I mean, as I mentioned in other shows, our genetic lineages are very much, kind of orchestrated in a way or directed where, we are being combined with our partners for a reason, whether that's consciousness, in itself, manifesting through these human experiences, or maybe something else. Maybe it's this hybridization program that is actually uniting specific bloodlines in order to produce these children, to produce these kinds of experiences. So it's quite a broad topic, and there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to be spoken of there. But to end this part, I mean, the other aspect of sexual dreams, as I was mentioning earlier, is the side effect of either waking up with marks on the body or wet dream scenarios. And those are always combined with these kinds of experiences where they are screened images of beautiful women that then turn into their true form, which is some other alien species. Another aspect of that is the markings on the body. And for experiencers, what I have learned personally from my experience, and I don't know about you, Dave, is utilizing black light technology to be able to see on the body whether you have marks. And a lot of times, if you do experience contact, it is said that there is some kind of whether it's like a bioluminescence type of a material that is left on the body that will show up if you shine a specific range of black light on the body. And I've experienced that when I had a contact at a conference one year, and I had these orange markings on my cheeks and on my hands and on my back. And so depending on the range or the timeline of when you experience a contact, you will see different colors, or the shades will be different of that bioluminescence residue on the body. Also, markings on the body, specific dots in the legs, in the arms, in the lower back, in the sexual, area, like where we have our, the sexual organs for the man, and for the woman, she will have marks or lines or scars that have already healed but appear from one day to the other. So, these are all things that are very typical of contact, and they're, very, telltale signs to show you that you are experiencing this in combination with other things like dreams, like all these other, like sightings, and these very vivid experiences. Now, another part is actual sexual intercourse with ETs. It can be with ETs, or it can be with with humans or humanoid race of ETs on craft, which is also very interesting. The other aspect of the hybridization program is the other part of it, which is the MyLab experiences, which are more terrestrial experiences. Underground bases, which are usually carried out in more of a clinical setting, where it looks like a hospital, and that is also a place where a lot of these cloning experiences have taken place for a lot of men. They experience, seeing incubation tanks just like you do on crafts. But these are taking place underground. Some genetic materials that are taken from the physical body, from the spinal cord. Implants are put in. So, they experience some similarities in that. something that's very interesting about the MyLab experience from men that I've heard a lot is experiences that are more, much darker experiences, sexual experiences that are taking place in public settings where, people, or it would seem that there are other humans there, actually experiencing what's occurring, the actual sexual intercourse. And so the difference is that this kind of sexual intercourse that's more public, clearly there's a level of trauma there that is occurring, and that's where you start to question these ritualistic practices, like, for example, from the Cabal. Like we look at the Cabal that are carried out, in our government, that we're looking at, all of these sexual practices that are made to disrupt the human body and to create these kinds of much darker agendas. Those are more terrestrial, they seem. So that's another aspect of it that goes into another range of information. But for men, these are the primary experiences that I have heard and that I have, seen and worked with.
Got a question from Uncle Dale, and he is asking, are men having much less traumatic experiences than women?
I wouldn't generalize them as less traumatic. I think trauma, is the same for all humans that experience these things, because what we're talking about is almost a hijacking of consciousness, a hijacking of your perception of reality. And it happens the same for men as it does for women. I mean, there are some men that have been so traumatized from this experience that their sexual lives are completely ruined. They can no longer have intercourse with anyone because of what they have experienced, either on a craft. Just the thought of being with a woman and then that image of a woman being distorted into an ET is extremely traumatizing. And the same thing has happened for women, but I don't think that it's any less. I mean, the kind of experiences that men have on craft with the experimentation and the procedures that are being done on the body are also extremely traumatic. And there's a lot of PTSD that's also being, as an effect of these kinds of experiences. So I really would never say that they're less or more. I mean, our perception of being human, we think that this body belongs to us and that we're in charge of what we're experiencing at all times. But the more and more you get into these topics, the more and more you start to question reality, the more you realize that in reality, as a human race, we are very heavily controlled in our perception of everything, and I think a lot of us, it's taken a long time for us to really realize that. And until we do, events like this are just going to seem like something way just completely unacceptable in their paradigm, understandably, until we understand, this better, what we're dealing with, who these species are, what are the new ethics or the ethics at all that these species are, carrying out when they do these. And obviously their concept of boundaries and respect and the ethics at all, are absolutely different than us because their agendas and their perceptions of reality are different.
So with that being said, who's taking us? Who is doing this? Is it, we always hear, is it the Greys? I realize outside of the MyLab programs, which are more human caused, when we look to the stars, is it every group that is visiting us that is doing this? Or is it just mainly the Greys?
That is really a $1 million question. That is the question that's the most important. And I've been, in my own personal experiences in my search for truth, I've researched and tried to understand this on the highest level possible. And for what I have seen and from my experience, what we're dealing with is a range of different species. We tend to want to categorize these species. We want to say, these, let's say the Dracos. The Dracos are extremely dark beings that are, only low frequency agendas. And then we say, if we see these beautiful white humanoid beings, they are very high vibration and the experiences are always beautiful. So, but really, what we're talking about is a range of species that range from frequency, just like humans. There's good humans, there's bad humans. There's all level of consciousness. And really what we need to focus on, we are talking about consciousness, not just separate species. And the reason why I want to point that out is because a lot of these experiencers, when they go on craft, they not only see one race, they will see grays, and they will also see other species there. They will see maybe reptilians working with grays or shorter grays. I mean, the range of species is tremendous. I mean, if we listen to all of the different experiencers and their things, I mean, we can compile many different races, perhaps hundreds. And what that allows us to see and to kind of question is, you know, how would we ever know what agendas really are, you know, positive or negative from that perspective? I think what we're dealing with here is really the manipulation of consciousness, of human consciousness, really. I mean, the utilization of the human genetic material in order to continue either co-creating or producing or expanding their races, whatever that is being created utilizing a cocktail of DNA. So what's being produced from the majority of all of these races that have been identified in the hybridization program, the results are always a mixture of genetics. So it's not just human gene, it's draconian, it's humanoid, sometimes gray, because the children that are produced from these hybridization programs don't look 100% human. They are mixed. They are mixed with either the grays, they are mixed with reptilians. They look completely different. They are almost as if experiments, genetic experiments. So what that makes us believe, what that helps us understand is that there is more than one agenda for this. And if there is, and if there isn't, the question is, if there isn't more than one agenda, then are we talking about all of these extraterrestrials, perhaps, with the level of technology that they have to screen themselves or to modify reality, maybe they have one agenda and they're all, after the same thing, which is to just keep producing products, which is the hybrid children. So, it's a complex topic, but the purpose of creating these children is, again, to prolong and to hold on to genetic material. Now, what makes a human different is the fact that our DNA is storing massive amounts of information. Yeah.
Right. Geraldine, I'm gonna get you to hold on right there because we only have you for 30 more minutes right after the break here on Spaced Out Radio. Geraldine Orozco appears on Spaced Out Radio the first Tuesday of every month. Her next appearance, Tuesday, August 6th. Their website, GeraldineOrozco.com, BayAreaMeditation.com. More hybridization talk right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Hey fans, it's Dave Scott. Do I have something for you to check out? A great documentary about legendary Mexican investigative journalist Jaime Maussan and his search for the truth about UFOs. Beyond the Spectrum, Maussan's UFO files can be found on Amazon Prime. It's free to watch if you're a member. You might even hear me in it. So check out Beyond the Spectrum, only on Amazon Prime.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacey, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
From the mile-high mountains of Colorado to all of you around the world, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I invite you to stick around spacedoutradio.com for Saturday and Sunday nights where I host Spaced Out Weekend. Let me take you on a wild ride of weird and strange topics, from ghosts and ETs to remote viewing, psychic phenomena, and so much more. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time on Spaced Out Weekend, where we own the night.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, well, we're going to get into ET abduction. Susan Chancellor was our guest, scheduled for 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, down in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM, over in New Orleans, UPRN 107.7 FM, in Reedsport, Oregon, AM 1030 KDUN, and down in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF AM 1560. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio. Good to have you with us. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, and it isn't loading. It is not loading. Hold on. I'm going to go in reverse here for a second. There it is. Amphibiolith. Amphibiolith is your password. Nobody knows what it means, but the clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the Gavinator is going to be bringing some new features in the next couple of weeks. But while you're there, you can check out Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and listen to the show live as well. For the final time tonight, we introduce Geraldine Orozco. She is here from San Francisco, California, and Bay Area Meditation. She comes in for the Spiritual You the first Tuesday of every month. Her next appearance will be on Tuesday, August 6th. Geraldine, thank you so much for going the distance here.
All right. Thank you.
I got a question from Twitter from Jake at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. And he is asking, Geraldine, how did you know to black light yourself at the conference?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, at the conference that I was speaking at was another speaker, and his name is Stephen Colburn, and he was there presenting on how to identify, ET contact and implants and what to look for, basically, how to know that you have been abducted. And so he has a whole setup. I mean, he was actually an assistant for Dr. Lear for many years, which, has passed away. And, what happened is that, I think we were sharing with each other something that had happened the previous night, and that's why, being new to that kind of an experience, they immediately identified, oh my goodness, that sounds like you should have it checked out. And so I went in to have him check it out, and he scanned the entire body with he used several different things. He did something to look for implants, he did something to look for that. But that's how I learned about that. I didn't know about that until I heard him present on that topic. But it was incredible. And things were not only found on my body, but other speakers that were there as well. I think it was 2 other speakers that had experienced they had dreams, interesting dreams or different experiences. One of them had a missing time experience that evening. So that next morning, as we got checked, we all had marks on our body. And it was just unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't believe that when I realized that, you could actually identify that. But it's a very specific black light. I don't know the details of it, but it's something very specific that he utilizes to check that. It's not just any regular black light. So yeah, thank you for that question. It's a great question.
Uncle Dale has a question here. He is saying or asking, since we know scientifically that dogs cannot mate with bears, how can humans mate with aliens? This sounds ridiculous. Well, we keep thinking, first of all, what we know about ETs let's say their biology, how they're structured, is limited. The only way that we have to be able to construct a perception of how these ETs are built anatomically is through the thousands of experiencers that report their experiences of abduction and the experiences that they have gone with intercourse with these, species. And it's from this perspective that we can start to build an idea of how this occurs. For example, one of the experiences that I had was this screen image experience where I had the experience of being shown a man, a very handsome-looking man, tall, very, very uniquely tall man, like a basketball player, with blue eyes, with dark hair, light skin, and during the process of having this experience of going through actual intercourse with the man, his face begins to dissolve, and what is actually there is some kind of a, robotic type of kind of reptilian. And when you experience something like that, it's very traumatic because, obviously the human is used to feeling, in a very intimate setting, in a very safe and vulnerable space, obviously during intercourse. So when you're experiencing something like this, it completely disrupts your whole concept of reality. What you think you're experiencing is not exactly what's occurring. Now, the reason for a lot of these kinds of experiments and these kinds of this procedure is when sexual intercourse occurs, there is a magnificent amount of energy that is being created from the union. And it's not just a physical energy, it's a chemical energy that is being emitted. It creates a frequency, a very powerful frequency. And depending on the subconscious connection to what is occurring in that intercourse, will define the frequency that's being created from that union. For example, if there's a relationship with two beings that are very much in love, their frequency that they're creating during intercourse will be very different from an experience of abuse or, for example, in cases of rape. And how we know this is because the kind of trauma that occurs in a human when, these darker experiences such as rape occurs is very much imprinted genetically in the human. That is very much recorded in the DNA of the human going through that experience. When that results in a child, in a fetus, in a pregnancy, that fetus is imprinted with the information of
the conception of that child. So it's very interesting because what I've noticed after compiling thousands of these experiences is that what the woman or the man is experiencing during that process of the sexual intercourse experience is part of this genetic modification, because it looks like their technology understands very well that every experience is a part of the genetic construct or the coding per se, let's say the algorithm of what is produced from these experiences. And the algorithm is basically the imprinted vibration that these humans are contributing to this genetically modified child. And the child will then be created based on that frequency. And whatever agenda the child is being created is imprinted with that information that will assist in whatever agenda they're to carry out. So, these things are we need to take into consideration of how the human body functions, how information is written on the genetic level, because that plays a very huge role in how these agendas are taken out. If we look at our, how the cabal or how these darker aspects of government, for example, are known for carrying out very dark ritual practices that are also involving sexual intercourse and the destruction of divinity, of purity, either with children or men, they also understand how information is being imprinted genetically. They also understand how the human soul is fragmented through trauma. So we have to understand that a lot of these, programs and a lot of these very terrible experiences that are carried out here by the cabal, by these kinds of darker programs, are on the highest level managed seemingly by these draconian lineages. And that's a whole other topic we can talk about another time. But it leads to the question, what about these other high vibration experiences? Are they truly looking at the best interest of the human race, if at all, as with the product of these hybrids? So the thought of having intercourse with ETs, if we look at our history, and I also want to take this to another side of this, another perspective of this, when you question the intercourse between humans and ETs. If you look at history, in the biblical texts, in the Book of Enoch, and many ancient texts like the Emerald Tablets, in petroglyphs around the world, what we see in our historical timeline is always a very common theme story that the humans are combining and breeding with extraterrestrials, with other beings, with other sky beings, with other interdimensional beings, much more advanced, more godlike beings. They were perceived as gods coming down, descending from the skies, breeding with humans. And so, this is something that has been written about, and it's in petroglyphs around the entire globe. From the Mayan culture to the Incas to the Sumerians to the India and even Russia, the Siberian ancient lineages are showing that this is something that is well known, well spoken about in ancient lore. Ancient cultures talk a lot about this. So this is not a new subject, is my point. This is something that has been looked at for a very long time in our historical timeline. And again, I invite you to question how our DNA has evolved. And that's really where I would like to take your attention to, because genetic modification and hybridization doesn't necessarily have to happen through intercourse. It also is genetically modified, through the process of, like a petri dish. It is genetic material is combined and then to produce human race, another species, another being. So there's many ways to look at this, and the technology that is being utilized is far beyond our technology and our understanding of genetic modification. So that has to be taken into consideration as well.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio with the Spiritual You. Geraldine, when you look at all the aspects of this, at what age are these hybridizations happening? Like, are they happening to the teenage boy and girl? Or are they just happening to adults? Is there an age category that you have noticed through this?
Yes. What seems to be a common thread from the many cases that I've looked at is, first of all, you're looking at implantation that occurs between the age of 5 and maybe 12, 10, 11, 12. Then usually when the female, when a child goes and begins her cycle, oftentimes, during the ages of 12 to 16 is when the first experiments will be carried out. Then, a lot of times these are repetitive experiences that happen for the lifespan of the female. And the same can go for the men. For the men, it's a little bit different. Sometimes these experiences are carried out, I have heard, as young as 14 years old. Okay, so it really just depends, I guess, on the different cases and the different experiences that these people are experiencing. But when we talk about age, all that is being prepared here is the human is being prepared to, the woman at least, is prepared with technology in order to be able to incubate the kind of genetically modified fetus that she will be, gestating for that time, up to 3 months. Because the human body, because these genetic modifications are not of the same DNA, the human body will more than likely reject it. The technology is implemented in order to be able to sustain the correct environment to be able to produce these children. Therefore, a lot of that, for example, in my experience, my first, pregnancy was at the age of 16 when I hadn't had intercourse ever. But what resulted from that, 2 weeks after having my first insemination was a miscarriage, something that seemed like a miscarriage, and it was just very painful. I got very sick. I had a flu, and when I went to the doctor, he prescribed antibiotics. I became allergic. So these kinds of stories are very typical. Most recently, I was talking to a mother that had a child, that her child was being abducted, 7 years old, and the kind of dreams and experiments that were being carried out on her were like experimentations within some kind of a laboratory, which leads us to perhaps question that, when we're talking about the hybridization program, as I mentioned, we're talking about genetic material being removed, so it's not always going to be through intercourse. So that broadens the age range of when these things can be carried out, especially for boys. It really just depends. And a lot of these experiencers are lifelong experiencers, and it isn't until they have regression for a lot of them that they actually recognize that they're lifelong experiencers. Some people have one or two very vivid experiences, and they don't want to know anymore. So they leave it at that. So we don't know, what the depth of their experiences are. But for the majority, this is kind of the patterns that we're looking at here based on thousands of experiences.
Let's get to a question from Danny in the chat room here. And he is asking, how often does the woman die giving birth in situations regarding genetically modified fetuses?
The thing is that a lot of these women that experience being in the hybridization program do not make full term. I have never heard, there was a couple cases of ET influence or, let's say, contribution to the birth of a human child, a genetically modified human child. this is something that you can learn more about in the documentary, because she's one of the other featured, experiencers in the documentary that I invite you to check out. And it's a very interesting, unique story. Woman that was not capable of getting pregnant, and after several ET contacts, she becomes pregnant and then has her child. She gives birth to her child. But the majority of the hybridization program is the longest amount of time that you will gestate one of these fetuses will be for about 3 months, no more than 3 months, and it will be removed. So a lot of these women do not get to the point where they are full term enough to actually go through a birthing process. There have been experiences where women are being, they feel that they are pregnant, and they make it up to 3 months, and then they go on craft, and they go through the process of experience giving birth. And my only way to explain that is that the gestation process is sped up severely. It is sped up to the point where whether we're talking about manipulation of time and space, and there is a missing time, and the gestation process is sped up, and they're experiencing the actual birth on craft, and then returned back into our human timeline where they are no longer pregnant. That's something that has happened many times. But I've never heard of a case where a woman dies from these kinds of births. And the reason for that, I believe, is because I don't believe the human would be able to give birth to these kinds of beings, because we're talking about genetically modified with multiple genetic lineages that are not of this earth, which means that they are also operating on other states of reality, other states of dimensions in which a lot of these beings are not merely human.
Interesting.
Some of which are draconian, and some of these species that were produced are not human. They are like interdimensional beings that would not be able to manifest on this physical three-dimensional realm. How I know that is because of the kind of technology that was implemented in my body in order to gestate, even just for 3 months, the kind of being that I was being inseminated with. So, these are things that, for us it's really hard to comprehend, because we have a very clear a set understanding on our physics, our laws of physics, and how things are operating in our world here, physical world. But we have to be able to look beyond that, because we're talking about technology that transcends, that rewrites our ideas of physics and how things are, our realities. So it's going to be hard for us to process that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We only have you for about 90 more seconds, my good friend. 90 seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. Been another fast-moving show with you. Want to say a big thank you. Do me a favor, if you could. Take the time to let our audience know where they can find your website, your YouTube channel, and where they can maybe see you at a conference.
Absolutely. It is my absolute pleasure to be here, and thank you all for tuning in. If you would like to get a DNA reprogramming with me, reviewing the multidimensional body, cutting cords, removing entities from the body, please feel free to get in touch with me. My website is bayareameditation.com or geraldineorozco.com. I will be speaking at the International UFO Congress in September in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you are there, please do stop by. I will be presenting on some new information that I have come across, new research that I'm working on. So I'm very happy to share that with all of you. And that is it for me. But very happy to connect with you with questions. Experiencers that wish to connect and learn more about the hybridization program can visit my website at hybridmother.com. And we have a support group once a month where we get together with international experiencers that are in the hybridization program that need support, information, knowledge to figure out what's happening and kind of help them integrate and heal from those experiences. So thank you so much. Yes.
We'll talk to you on August 6th, my friend.
Fantastic. I can't wait. I hope you have an incredible month, and I will talk to you soon.
Yes, you will. Geraldine Orozco, everybody, from Bay Area Meditation. Coming up, the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day right around the corner.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio listeners, it's Dave Scott. I want you to check out a great documentary I'm involved in called Beyond the Spectrum, Mosson's UFO Files. Directed by Darcy Weir, the film follows Jaime Mosson's journey for mainstream journalistic truth in ufology in Mexico. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon Prime. If you're a member, watch it free. It's worth the watch. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rockin'. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today. Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Reminder that if you want to listen to this show or others, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the Gavinator is working on new features for the site very, very soon. He will be publishing them. And, hey, you can still go there right now to catch up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show. But we get to the weird, the strange, those head-scratchers of stories that we love to deliver to you. We're going to start off right here in the United States. Well, you guys are. I'm in Canada. So, a 4-year-old boy was craving some candy from the gas station. 4 years old. Great-grandpa wouldn't take him. So the 4-year-old, being intuitive, thought about it himself, his ingenuity paying off, and he decides to grab Grandpa's keys, hop in the old Hyundai, and go for a ride down to the store. Yes, Jenna Swenson's 4-year-old son Sebastian stole his great-grandfather's keys, jumped into the SUV, and drove more than a mile during rush hour to a petrol station in hopes of picking up something sweet. Instead, the youngster was arrested, much to his family's relief. The mother described the thoughts which went through her head during the escapade. I panicked. I had anxiety, a little of almost all the emotions going on, trying to calculate how this happened. Now, no one was hurt when the little 4-year-old was driving around on his rampage, but the car and some mailboxes were damaged in Blaine, Minnesota. The young driver also had a small bump with a tree, leaving behind a part of the car's front bumper in the neighbor's garden. Yes, this happened on Tuesday morning, around 8:30 a.m. Sebastian, the young boy's name, decided to steal Grandpa's walker, or his car, rather. Yeah. And, well, there you have it. Well, he took a nice chunk out of the front end, too. Apparently, this is a smart kid watching how the car gets into gear. Desperately and barely able to see over the steering wheel, Sebastian reversed out of the driveway, drove through a number of winding residential streets before making a left turn onto a busy 4-lane avenue. Witnesses reported they saw the SUV driving erratically at speeds up to 15 miles an hour. Oh, it's like the OJ chase. Yeah, before pulling the car into the parking lot of the gas station. I've never seen a driver this young operating a vehicle before, said Police Captain Mark Boerboom. Yeah, well, it could have been worse. Could have been very serious. He could have hit a car, and we could be talking about a funeral, but we're not. There is no word if the young lad got any candy for this. All right, let's head to Alaska. Residents of a remote Bering Sea island are celebrating the death of an intruder that has eluded capture for 10 months. The intruder? A Norway rat. St. Paul Island is internationally known for breeding habitat of millions of birds, including rare migratory species. Seabirds lay their eggs on the rocks, and songbirds lay them in the tundra nests. Both are very vulnerable to an infestation of rats. Biologists experienced a moment of terror when a Norway rat was spotted last fall in St. Paul's fish processing plant. According to Heather Renner, supervisory wildlife biologist with the Alaska Maritime National Wildlife Refuge, at worst, could have been a pregnant rat. But, never fear. They got rid of it. Yes. Rats pose a devastating threat to the bird populations. Rats have such a potential to invade and change the ecosystem in the way we'd never recover from. According to Lauren Devine, she's happy the Norway rat is dead. For decades, the tribal government and state federal agencies have worked together to keep rats off the island. At least 8 rats have been caught by security detection programs involving traps at the harbor. After the rat was seen in the fish processing plant, wildlife officials mounted an aggressive response. A strike team deployed baited rat traps and set up wildlife cameras to track the rat's movements. God, don't they just go on YouTube and watch these guys with their air pistols go and kill rats on farms? That's what you need. One of those dudes. Like Rat Rambo. Yeah, well, got through the winter. Live trap captured the rat, but it escaped. It's been a wily rat, says one of the people involved. Very frustrating. Searchers hope to avoid the use of rodenticide, but finally decided it was necessary. A person had to be specially trained to safely apply it. On Sunday, just as the kittiwake chicks were hatching and bird tourism was nearing its summer peak, a visiting birder discovered the rat dead. Biologists are happy but wary. If you have one rat, you have to assume there's more, so the monitoring continues. Here's a bad one. An Asian American woman from Chicago said she received a racist email from the vice president of a recruiting firm after scheduling an interview with the company. Connie Chung told the media that she had applied to work in an office in a management assistant position for the recruiting firm Chicago Search Group. A day after confirming a job interview, Vice President Jim McMahon allegedly sent her an email which read, "Me love you long time," a phrase spoken by a Vietnamese prostitute to U.S. soldiers in the 1987 film Full Metal Jacket. Great movie, one of my favorites. The phrase has racist and sexual connotations Among Asian Americans, Asian females have always been sexualized because of their history with Western males, Chung told the Block Club Chicago. It's gross. The specific phrase is sexual. It's not just toward or by a race. It's sexual. That's all I could think of. Why? It's 2019. McMahon said the email was intended for his boss, Brian Hoff, the president of Chicago Search Group. As a joke, he told USA Today that he called Chung to apologize after the email was allegedly sent. This was an isolated incident that will not happen again, and my sincerest apologies go out to Connie and anyone who was offended by this statement, said McMahon. Well, she didn't take the job. She's still on the hunt. A rare endangered Florida panther has died after getting into a brawl with another panther. It's the 12th panther death this year. Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission says the remains of a 5-year-old female panther were found last Thursday on a private land in Collier County. The cause of death was intraspecific aggression. Fancy way of saying two cougars were going after a male, party on, and the other one won. Florida panthers once roamed the entire southeast, but now their habitat mostly is confined to a small region of Florida along the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, they can't afford this death, especially of a young female. Definitely. Scary times. Cougar versus cougar. How many times have we seen that, gentlemen and ladies? Out at the bar, hair starts pulling. Yeah. We'll just leave that one right there. Way too dangerous. Let's head over to South Africa, where an illusionist suffered a head wound when a magic show stunt involving a crossbow went terribly wrong. Lee Lau was performing an escape when he was shot on Sunday. He left for the hospital after doctors stitched up his head. We just had a minor little incident this afternoon, but I am well, Lau said in a video statement on Twitter. The crossbow bolt did not penetrate his skull, thank goodness. The station and the other South African news outlets reported that another performer, Brendan Peel, was the one who shot Liu. Thought they were friends. The National Arts Festival, which staged the show, said the reports were wrong. The escape is performed while the crossbow is being held by an apparatus fired by a mechanically timed trigger. At the time the crossbow was fired, it was not held by either performer. Those who saw what happened included a number of children. We send our apologies to the kids for giving them quite a scare, said Brendan Peel and Lee Liu. First off, crossbow is meant to kill, not to pluck an apple or a Rubik's Cube off someone's head. Makes me shake my head. All right, let's continue on. You know, I'm pretty open about my dislike of soccer. Not a fan of it. Think it's destroying humanity. In Dave's world, if soccer was religion, or sport was religion, soccer would be the Antichrist. Yeah, I know I'm going to get some hate mail. Hundreds of hate emails for that. Hundreds. But this one just takes it to a whole new level. Whole new level of despising soccer. I don't even know where to go with this one, but I'm going to give it my best shot here. So a soccer player named John Parkin decides to go to the washroom. Proud of what he dropped, he took a photo of it. So what does he do with his poo? He posted on Twitter. He posted his deuce on Twitter. So now the soccer team that he plays for is trying to get him to deny that he took a photo of his bathroom break and put it on social media. So here's how it goes. I don't even know where to go with this. Even know where to go. I mean, all right. Apparently he has lots of followers because the comments rolled in thick and fast. A diarrhea of comments, I guess you could say. One respondent, oh man, that's a triple flusher at minimum. Another one, first glance, I thought it was a laughing face giving a thumbs up. Very artistic poo you took there, John. Fortunately, Parkin was able to clear up the matter and later added, unfortunately, I have to confirm the doo-doo isn't mine. I would love to take full credit for it, but unfortunately, I got in a group chat. Mine are more like... He says, like, how do you use this as an excuse? He goes, mine are more like rabbit droppings. Really? Sometimes sharing ain't caring. You got caught, buddy. You got caught being gross with your buddies. Probably got dared over a couple of beers to put your poo on Twitter. And there you have it. All right. Moving on here. Today is World UFO Day. And we have a number of states where they are visiting the most. New Mexico came in 8th, Nevada 13th, hard to believe. Meanwhile, states with the fewest sightings per capita, Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, all down south. But here's the interesting part. Washington State topped the list, followed by Montana, Vermont, Alaska, and Maine. East Coast, West Coast. Kind of cool. It must be pointed out that Washington State, which had about 78 sightings per 100,000 people, is also the home of New Fork. Among them, California couple reported seeing 3 red lights in a triangle shape described as huge, low in the sky. By the way, there's certain people now who want to change National UFO Day or World UFO Day to December 16th because that's when the New York Times article came out. Hope you had a good one. Hope you got to see some UFOs on World UFO Day. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. And yes, Jen, Dave does hate soccer. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What's the best thing you've learned about your own search into spirituality? We went in depth today. Get some Zen in there. Start off with Jamie Lee. First time we've had one of hers. That we all have the answers within us. No need to search for them outside of ourselves. Francesca, trusting the process, good, bad, and ugly. Keith, Reverend Keith, in order to be spiritually filled, I must become empty of self. For me, spirituality is living in a personal relationship with God. I become less, he becomes more. Daryl, that only my body dies, I do not die. Tony, had my spiritual awakening in the early 90s with making electronic music. I used my spirit communication devices to make contact with other spheres. I think music is like a carrier to explore the mind, the ether, and beyond. Grant, that I had it all wrong from the start, but that I had it right too. Is that kind of like Meatloaf's? I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Sounds the same. Robin, when I had my spiritual awakening, I felt like I was on a higher plane. I knew things I shouldn't. Landon, that there is always something new that I could learn. Sylvia, that there's life after death. Tanya, that I truly know nothing. Catherine, it shines best when trying to help others. Adam, nothing is what it seems to me. Bell says that I have lived and died before. Barry Taff, that human consciousness and its connection to all is beyond our wildest expectations, that we're connected via localized electromagnetic, geomagnetic fields via a process known as inductive resonance coupling. We have the potential to see and know all, but we are truly ready. Are we truly ready for such a heavy burden? I don't know. All right, moving on here. Heather, I have learned spirits really do exist on this plane. They showed me themselves and spoke with me. For what reason, I still do not know, but I understand a lot more now. It's pretty powerful stuff. Greg, that I was really an a-hole who drank too much along with a few other things. Kimmy, looks can be deceiving. There's much more to this world than what simply meets the eye. I think she's a transformer. Barry, absolute proof of God. Eugene, upon attainment of the highest spiritual heights, we find that love and the desire to love assures us at last of happiness under the sun. Beautifully said, my Eugene friend. Ozzy Rob, how's tomorrow looking? Need a ham hock photo. Saying, having found the ability to heal at a great distance. Gertrude, I actually unlearned and found myself, my true self, in the process. Sarah, that there is so much more than me. It's humbling and encouraging at the same time. Mary, helping others less fortunate than myself, look around and I always see someone worse off than me. I am thankful I have a home and all my limbs. I have food, clothes, and enough that I could buy someone homeless a meal or a jacket or something. I feel better meditating also. Let us all thank Mary for that comment. Big thanks to Captain Shirk for putting the SOR Newswire together. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com. And thanks to everyone participating in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Geraldine Orozco, Spiritual You, she will be back on August 6th. Always fun to have her around. Tomorrow night on the show, Suzanne Chancellor joins us. ET abductions is the topic. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god of self. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms like the SOR Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We've almost made Hump Day. Thank you for sharing the show, making it bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.